before we get into all that, before we get into addressing the poll question and all that, a huge controversy, and I'm saying that sarcastically, huge controversy broke out, in my opinion, over nothing, over some comments Joey Logano made when he was coming to the end of a stage where he thought Austin Cindric didn't follow the team protocol. And a lot of people made a lot about that. If you've watched racing, you know when stuff goes wrong in the car or when a driver has an opinion, that's really not a big deal. You see that happen a lot. You see it happen all the time. It's kind of the lowest form of automotive journalism, is to take a radio clip and be like, oh my God, this is the biggest story ever. So a lot of people do it. It's understandable. You got to do what you want to do, but it's really the easiest thing to do, because on any given race, you can pick audio from any driver and there's going to be something controversial or crazy said, because that is just the nature of having the in-car audio. That being said, they're making a big deal out of what Joey Logano said at the end of a stage about Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric, of course, eventually wins the race. It was explicit, latent. But Chipper Jones inflamed it even further when he got on Twitter and had this to say: "Congrats to Austin Cindric on his Talladega win. Good teammates are hard to come by, boss. Remember that one of yours MF'd you on national TV, when in actuality you did everything possible to keep from wrecking him. Hate to be the deuces in the team meeting on Monday. Some people are hooray for our team as long as I'm the star, as every team has them. Hendrick, RCR, JGR, Penske, etc. Sometimes karma is glorious. Enjoy this one. In case anyone is confused, let me be clear, at Joey Logano," and he tags Joey Logano in the tweet there, and that got a lot of eyeballs on it. Obviously, Chipper Jones, probably going to be a Hall of Famer if he's not already a Hall of Famer in baseball. Not, don't super keep up with the Braves like that, but I know he's a great player. My grandpa was a huge Braves fan, so Chipper Jones, one of the best to ever do it in the baseball realm. So it got a lot of traction as far as that goes, and everybody's opinion is welcome. And before I get into my thoughts on Chipper Jones' opinion here, Pete Pistone told Joey Logano that basically what was said, and this is how Joey Logano responded. This article from Zach Alberts at NASCAR.com. Where Joey Logano said, "I found out he really doesn't like me," Logano said from the track's Turn 4 hospitality area. "So I'm surprised that a professional athlete would act in that manner, because he's been through it, right? Like I say all the time, I'm very careful to form an opinion on an athlete by their emotions or the way they play the game, because I know from being in that position, when there's so much on the line in a competitive environment, you act a certain way because you're out there to win, right? And then you've got to be able to shut that off." I would have assumed, him being the athlete that he is, and was that he would understand that and not mouth off on social media like someone that has never played the sport before or a sport. So Joey Logano didn't like that. He went on further to say, "It's surprising to me. All I can think is it's just trying to be relevant or still something like that. I don't really know exactly why. Like I said, I've never met him. I don't have any reason to dislike him outside of now, but oh well, guess I'm not rooting for the Braves anytime soon. I don't know what to tell you." So Joey Logano sort of brushed it off, and he has gone on to say him and Austin Cindric have talked it over. They're good or whatever as far as that goes. But I do have to side with Joey Logano here. Look, it's two different. You can talk about teammates all you want to, but it's two different sports. It's two completely different sports, and it's two. They are teammates, but it's not the same type of teammate you would have on a baseball team. Joey Logano's team is the 22 team. That is the only team he answers to, and Ford. So Joey Logano being upset, and to be clear, what Joey Logano was upset about is he didn't think Austin Cindric made the best move to get Ford a stage victory at the end of that stage. He thought he let the Toyotas, in this case Bubba Wallace, get the stage victory for Toyotas. That is what Joey Logano was upset about. He wasn't necessarily upset at what Austin Cindric did, other than Austin Cindric might not have followed team orders. And at one point in that article, Joey Logano does talk about Chipper Jones wasn't sitting in that strategy meeting between us, so he doesn't have the knowledge to basically say what was supposed to happen in that situation. He said only the people in that room do. And he was referring to, of course, the strategists and the three drivers for Penske there, which would be Blaney, Logano, and Cindric in this case. So he's saying that he doesn't have the full context or the full story to be making the comments that he's making. So I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna have to fully agree with Joey Logano here because Chipper Jones is comparing apples to oranges here as far as teammates go in sports. And I also kind of took issue with Chipper Jones saying that Joey Logano is not a good teammate because factually that can easily be disproven. So if you remember when the Dark Horse Mustang was first brought to NASCAR, it had a little bit of trouble getting out of the gate, and it didn't really get any traction until Joey Logano had that North Wilkesboro tire test, and Joey Logano figured something out about the Dark Horse Mustang during that tire test where he spent countless hours. He took a lot of attempts. He made more runs at that tire test than any other driver, and he actually got Ford, all of the Ford teams, back on track. So to call Joey Logano a bad teammate because he MF'd somebody over the radio, communication that, you know, he's not necessarily really intending anybody to hear other than him and his crew chief and the people on the scanners that like to listen to it that way, I think is an unfair comment because if Joey Logano was actually a poor teammate or if Joey Logano was actually a selfish person, he would have kept all that information that he learned in that tire test and he would have kept it all for the 22 team. And the 22 team would have had a huge advantage and would have looked like the only Ford that ran really well when the Dark Horse Mustang first came out. Obviously, he did not keep that information to himself. He spread the wealth with Ford and with the other Penske teammates. And you saw from that point on that Ford turned the corner with the new Dark Horse Mustang. So it's just easy to factually disprove that Joey Logano is a bad teammate and things like that. And this is just once again one of those situations where you take some radio communication and you drum up this fake drama. You get all these nice YouTube headlines. You get all these nice social media headlines. You get all these free clicks because it's dramatic. You know, it's essentially, oh my God, can you believe what Joey Logano said about Austin Cindric? It's literally just gossip and drama that is fueling this. And basically this week, NASCAR has become drama alert because they're taking that route with this Joey Logano radio communication, which, I mean, in actuality, if you listen to enough radio, you could do this with any driver throughout any race, any weekend, any given weekend. So I really honestly thought it was much ado about nothing, but then Chipper Jones chimed in, and now it's not something you really can ignore because Chipper Jones is a huge name in the sports world. So just a super interesting take by Chipper there, and I think he's dead wrong, and I think Joey Logano is dead accurate on it. But I mean, the comment section is open. Let me know what you think about it down there. The other thing, sort of controversial that got a lot of traction here, Elton Sawyer came out and defended the Talladega race, making it sound like it was a great success. I saw this on Iceberg has a great video on this, so I encourage you to go watch Iceberg's video on it. But he pulled a tweet from Family Man Dave at Team KFB Fan 8 on Twitter, if you want to follow him on Twitter as well. But he tweeted out, he was listening to Sirius XM, where Elton Sawyer said, you have 67 lead changes amongst 23 different drivers. So when we look at that, what are we trying to fix? Referring to the Talladega race. And Family Man Dave said, I don't even know what to say anymore. And I think that has been what a lot of NASCAR fans feel too, because if you look at the overwhelming majority of what NASCAR fans thought about that race, now it was my first Talladega race and I watched it live, so I was going to like it no matter what happened. So I'm leaving myself out of this conversation. But the fans that were watching it on TV did not like this race for multiple reasons, some of which being the massive amount of commercials from Fox at the very end. But also, they just didn't like the racing on the track. So how long is NASCAR going to continue to bury its head in the sand about the actual race car? And not only that, but super speedways, period, because the format itself with the stage breaks is leading to a single strategy of save fuel and ride around until the very end. And it's not what fans are used to, and it's not what fans like. And to that point, we got the ratings here from Adam Stern. Fox TV got a 4.041 million views for Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega, down 6% from last year. And It's been down. The restrictor plate races have been down ever since we've gotten this new car. So with this new car, not only does it now race poorly at super speedways, it races poorly at short tracks, and it races poorly at road courses. It does phenomenal at mile and a halfs. Mile and a halfs, it is one of the best cars you're ever going to see. They have figured out the mile and a half package with this particular car. It does race well there. So you got to give credit where credit is due. But you've given up every other track, because every other track, except for when Goodyear makes a tire so soft that you can't run on it, and the teams aren't expecting it, you're not going to get necessarily a great race out of it. So you've sacrificed all the other tracks. So maybe it's time to take a look at this car and this package and figure something out. And in fact, Denny Hamlin's whole podcast, I think, was about that. I didn't get to watch all of it, but he had a lot to say about that as well. Another thing that Denny Hamlin came out and said is it's not reasonable or not feasible, and no team is willingly going to lose millions of dollars. And he was referring to NASCAR saying, run what you brung for the All-Star race. They gave the teams that option, and the teams roundly rejected that because no team, according to Denny Hamlin, is going to want to lose, just go ahead and lose millions of dollars to win, $1 million and lose multiple millions trying to go and do that. It just doesn't make sense. And you're also not going, he brought up this point, you're also not going to sacrifice one of the 7 chassis that you're allowed to have and twist it all up and configure it and contort it to go run one race with it and then probably never be able to use it again. So I think Denny Hamlin brought up a really great point, and I think NASCAR was trying to get the teams to bail them out, maybe steal some of the ideas from the teams to bail them out, is one school of thought. The other school of thought is NASCAR did this to see if the teams would jump at this, maybe some way help them in the legal proceedings or something like that, maybe get a quote from Denny Hamlin that would make them help them out in the legal proceedings. It's really hard to say, but it was a really it just struck me as I put my tinfoil hat on for this. It struck me as a tactical move from NASCAR more than something that they actually were going to let happen. So it always struck me as strange, but it is what it is. I think what you want to about it. That's what I think about it. And Rodney Childers. Rodney Childers came out, and this is from Toby Christie at Racing America or SI.com, wherever you want to pick up the article. He said, I think in my statement, it was not really clear what I wanted, and I wanted to be clear in that I want to be a crew chief in the Cup Series like I have been. I want to get past the 700 races milestone. I want to get to that 50 win mark. I want to be with a good team, a good driver that can win races, and I want that to be clear. I'm looking forward to figuring that out over the next 6 months and hopefully get back into victory lane. So it looks like 6 months at least until you see Rodney Childers back. He went on to further say everything was going fine. You could kind of tell after we got racing a little bit, it wasn't going the way we all wanted, and a lot of times that's performance based, or it can be how things are going at the shop, things are going at the racetrack. What's the communication like and just the chemistry, all of that. It's not one person, it's not 2 people, it's 200 people just figuring that out as we went. It finally came to a point where they could kind of tell I wasn't happy, and I could kind of tell maybe they weren't happy, and it just started falling apart a little bit. Childers admitted, and I could sense it a little bit. Maybe a couple of weeks before parting ways, it had kind of gotten quiet around, and anytime it gets quiet, you kind of start wondering, So there you go. Rodney Childers finally speaks out a little more on it. Says he does still want to be a Cup Series crew chief. He cleared that up. I think he's hoping maybe than it had, and I think he's going to land with somebody, but he said 6 months, so you might see him next season, or you might see him this season. So there you go. But going back to the Denny Hamlin quote, that is the poll question. Should the Cup teams have run what they brung for the Wilkesboro All-Star race? 70% right now saying yes, 30% saying no, about 20-some votes in so far. Let's jump into the comment section and see what you guys are thinking about here.